Drago from Rocky IV, Johnny the Cobra Kai. In the past couple months, I've discovered a new evil empire. That's right, salt. It seems harmless. It's small, white, and people love to put it on everything because it makes our food taste so good. In fact, Americans love sodium so much that we consume on average of 3,400 milligrams of sodium per day. Some of you may be sitting there thinking, great, how much did Chad pay you to give another speech on health? But in the past couple of years, the American Heart Association released a study that showed that if Americans would limit their sodium from 3,400 milligrams down to 1,500 milligrams a day, we would save $26 billion in healthcare. Let me repeat that. We'd save $26 billion in healthcare in just more than a year if we would cut our sodium down to 1,500 milligrams. As many of you may know, in the middle of August, I was hospitalized, and I was diagnosed with dilated cardiomyopathy, which means that my heart was enlarged and was weakened. And one of the things that they told me that may help me prolong my life and to be able to reduce some of the symptoms I was having was a low sodium diet. So what is a low sodium diet? Low sodium diet is a consumption of less than 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day. Just to give you a little example of what that looks like. It's 1 teaspoon of salt. Can you just feel all the evil power in this one little teaspoon here? It's trouble. It's evil. In some people, sodium increases their blood pressure because it forces the body to hold on to excess fluid, which makes their heart work harder. And what this does is it tends to lead to an increased risk of stroke, heart failure, osteoporosis, kidney disease, and stomach cancer. These are way too many evil things to be talking about at 7:30 in the morning, so let's talk about something fun. Let's talk about food. So after I was released from the hospital, I was starting to get my hands and my head kind of wrapped around what I was going to need to do to live with this low sodium diet. So the first place I went to my pantry. So I opened up my pantry doors and I started going through my different shelves on what products I had that would work for me. So I pull out some ranch dressing, 300 milligrams per serving. There's no way that's going to make it. Lou's Hog dry rub seasoning, 610 milligrams. It's not for the whole thing. This is for one serving, 610. Steak Whisperer, what a name, 500 milligrams. Last but not least, chicken noodle soup. Doesn't everyone love chicken noodle soup? This has 910 milligrams per serving on this. There's 2 servings. It's unbelievable. I don't have a calculator, but I know those limits, those numbers are way above what my limit is for my diet. So that wasn't going to work. After I cleaned out half my pantry, I heard my wife yelling at me, asking me what the hell I was doing. I headed to the grocery store. That first day at the grocery store was quite an event. It seemed like that first day I really had no clue what I was doing, and it seemed like it took forever. But as I went through the store, there was a couple things that I learned. The number one thing to make sure I stocked up on fruits and vegetables because these tended to be very low in sodium. However, not all fruits and vegetables are created equally. Fresh and frozen fruits and vegetables tend to have half the sodium content as those that are prepackaged. As I was making my way through the grocery store, I started to get some more confidence, figure out, okay, I'm going to be able to make it. Here's some foods that I can eat. I went to my favorite section in the grocery store. No, not the bakery, the meat counter. I love meat. And I discovered there that hamburgers, fish, chicken, and steaks all had less than 75 milligrams per 4-ounce serving, which is very positive. Made me very happy. As I was leaving the store, I looked at my phone because no one really looks at watches anymore, and I noticed I'd been in the store for 2 hours. At that time, I kind of felt a little sad, but I had to realize that I'd learned so much from this first experience at the grocery store, and each trip that I've been back since has been more positive and more efficient from the last time. So some of you may be sitting there saying, I don't have a heart condition. I don't really want to go on a low sodium diet. Why is this something that I should consider? Well, maybe you don't need to consider a low sodium diet, but here are a couple things that you may be able to do in your life that help you live healthier and just feel better about yourself. The first one is just toss away the salt shaker. There's several different herbs and spices. Mrs. Dash's is a great example of great ways to flavor your food that you're not going to need salt, and they're healthier for you. The second one, which I mentioned earlier, learn how to read a label. When you're picking up a bag of Doritos and it says 300 milligrams on it, that's per serving, that's not for the whole bag. And we're talking about Doritos, that's usually 10 chips. So that's not very much. And the third one is just be careful when you eat out. When you eat out, make sure that you order foods that are broiled and grilled rather than those that are fried. And then also try to cut your portion sizes in half. Just that alone will cut your sodium intake in half. Over this experience, I've learned several things. One of those, unfortunately, is that sometimes life isn't fair. Sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. But it's very important to try to uncover any positive in the situation that you can. And in this one, I've learned very, very many new and exciting foods and recipes that I can implement in my life that I never would have dreamed about trying before. And with anything in life, you're always going to encounter challenges, but it's very important to try to focus on the opportunities and the freedoms that you have rather than get bogged down about what limits, these perceived limits you have in your life. Because who needs salt anyway?